This is the brand new Nexx X.Rally, a helmet clearly designed with more off-road adventure riding in mind, but after spending some time with it, I've discovered a few things that might make it a good all-round adventure lid. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through the build quality, the features, the fit, and what it's actually like to ride in. If you go to the Nexx website, their mission statement for this helmet is as follows. The new X.Rally is purpose built for hard enduro riders, delivering exceptional lightness, comfort, and outstanding ventilation. Every detail has been optimized for control, comfort, and compatibility with off-road goggles, making it the perfect companion for the toughest and most technical terrain. Now, I am far from a hard enduro rider, so I wanted to find out if the X.Rally is something you can live with day to day, or if its off-road focus compromises it in any way. Let's start with a quick look at the features and construction. First off, I think this is an amazing looking helmet, particularly in this colour scheme. When I first saw the helmet online, it looked like this might be a matte or a satin finish, but in reality it's a really deep high gloss which really pops in sunlight, showing off the carbon weave. The helmet ships with a clear visor and this lovely iridium red tinted visor. Other helmets in the range ship with a clear visor along with a photochromic version, so I got hold of one of those to be able to test that as well, because I think for this helmet that's a bit of a game changer. The shell is full carbon and is offered in 3 shell sizes across the full size range. One of the main selling points for this helmet is its low weight, with the sticker on the back showing 1,350 grams plus or minus 50 grams without accessories. Now, this is a method that many manufacturers use, and sometimes I think it can be a little bit disingenuous, because when they say accessories, sometimes they'll include the main visor. Now, on a road helmet, you're going to be wanting to ride with that visor on all the time, so really it should be the weight with that included. However, to be fair to Nexx, this helmet is designed for use with goggles where you're not going to be using that visor, so I'm going to let them off that one. With the visor and the peak removed, it tip scales at 1,273 grams. Adding the peak with the extension took that to 1,386 grams, so that's within the stated limit on the sticker. Adding the visor and the Pinlock 200 Max Vision, it jumped to 1,537 grams. In reality then, whichever setup you choose, this is a light helmet. So whilst the helmet does feel nice and light, it does at the same time feel quite substantial. It doesn't sort of creak and rattle and make noises and feel flimsy. As I've mentioned in other reviews, Nexx do seem to improve their build quality year on year, and this new X.Rally is no exception. It is very nicely put together and it is a premium piece of kit. There's lots of nice details on there, and I've noticed that all the additional parts that fix to the helmet, the vents and all of those bits and pieces can all be unscrewed and replaced. They're not stuck in place. And I think that's a good sign. The visor system is good, very quick and easy to remove and refit, and completely independent of the peak, so there's no faffing about required. The visor also has a recoil system, so as you pull the visor shut, a spring-loaded hinge pulls it back and makes a really good connection with the seal. The peak can be removed with 3 thumb screws, and in the box of accessories there's blanks to replace them if you intend to run it peakless. The peak comes as standard with an extendable section on the front, and there's blanking plates in the accessory box if you choose to run without it. More on that later in the video. As ever with Nexx, there's other accessories included, as is the helmet has an open chin vent, but a switch can be bolted into place to offer control. And on the inside aperture of this vent, you've got a choice of vented or solid pads that you can push in place depending on whether you're using this in the summer or the winter. As with the X-Wed 3, a chin action cam mount is included, as well as one for the top. Nexx have also used the same orange rubber bumper mounts that help isolate the peak from the shell, and they do a really good job. There are 2 small open vents besides the chin which funnel air around to the cheeks. These are backed up by 2 vents either side on the top, a large central vent, a small single vent in the middle of the forehead with 2 additional brow vents. That is a total of 9 incoming air vents. And both an upper and lower venturi on the back of the helmet help to draw warm air out. Inside, a 3D mesh liner again helps with airflow but offers good comfort. If you're a glasses wearer, you'll be fine because there's plenty of room for the arms to fit comfortably, and also there are big recesses in the EPS to allow for speakers for Bluetooth comms units to be fitted. Speaking of which, if you do choose to fit comms, there's a very handy removable plug to allow for easy routing of cables to the interior. And that's one of the nice touches that shows just how much thought has gone into the design of this helmet. A double D-ring fastener does the job, but this is a lightweight aluminium magnesium version, and I really like the magnetic clip to hold the excess chin strap. Much easier than fiddling around trying to do up a popper. The cheek pads are quick release of course, and full foam crash bumpers run around the bottom of the shell, which are designed to absorb impacts and reduce the risk of collarbone injuries. I could talk a lot longer going into the minute details of the features, but I think we've covered off all of the key aspects, and obviously the most important part of any helmet review is what it's like to ride in. So let's get on to that, and I'll start with fit and comfort. Nexx helmets sit in the intermediate oval head shape and seem to work with most heads apart from very round or very long ones. Sizing is accurate. I'm a large in brands like Shoei, Arai, AGV, etc., and this is the same. It offers a nice, snug, even fit, and you combine that with the weight, and this makes it a very comfortable helmet to wear on long all-day rides. Vision from that massive eyeball is excellent, and the Pinlock 200 Max Vision insert doesn't impinge on your view even at extreme edges. It's also kept perfectly clear with no fogging issues. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I also tested this helmet with the Photochromic Visor, which is the one that's on place here. And the reason I did that is because this helmet does not have a drop-down sunshade. That might be enough to put some people off, but don't forget that Nexx still have the X.Rally in their range, and that does have a drop-down sun shield. The whole ethos behind this helmet is it's more suited to off-road and dual sport riders, where lightweight and simplicity is of more value. So for more general riding, I think the Photochromic Visor is a real game changer. I've used them on several helmets that don't have drop downs, and they are an excellent fit and forget option. No need for sunglasses or travelling with 2 visors. That big eye port means that using pretty much any goggles is a breeze. I rode with my Climb Rage off-road goggles, which are about as big as they get, and they fitted easily even with the helmet's breath guard still in place. There is, however, no goggle retainer strap on the back of the helmet. Onto ventilation now, which I think is a real strong point of this helmet, not just because of how much ventilation there is, but because of how controllable it is. The 9 vents mean that you have really price control over exactly where the ventilation is routed. It works really, really well, and it is truly impressive. Another observation is that even with all the vents open, it doesn't add much wind noise, which is often a problem with helmets. There is of course more noise with them open, but not very much at all. Talking of noise, overall I think this helmet performs very well considering its intended purpose. Overall, wind noise is managed well, especially around the peak. Now, I mentioned earlier the rubber bungs on the fittings for the peak, which helps to isolate anything that goes on up here being transferred into the shell. So, although I did experience some peak wobble on some bikes at speed, it never manifested into a hum or thrum on the helmet. This is exactly the same setup as they use on the X.Rally, and on that helmet it proved to be very good, and it's done the same with this. There is one thing that I did find with the peak, and that's around that extension. As you can see, I haven't got it fitted here, and that's because I found that it didn't really add any benefits. The standard peak is long enough to be an effective sunshade, and all the extension really did was increase the chances of vibration or catching air on shoulder checks. So I ditched it. You may have a different experience with it, but for me, it was unnecessary. I rode on several bikes, predominantly the Africa Twin, and I wasn't troubled by the peak on any of them. Yes, it did vibrate more on some bikes than others, but that was never transferred into the shell, so it was more of a visual thing than anything else. I fitted the accessory chin sock to the helmet, which I always tend to do with helmets, to be honest. One, because it does help to reduce noise inside, and also for me it does tend to add a little bit of comfort. So what are my overall thoughts? Well, I think this is a truly excellent adventure helmet, particularly if you do ride on challenging terrain. The vision and ventilation is exceptional, and the lightweight leads to less fatigue on long days. But it also works well on tarmac. There's no real compromise, other than the lack of a drop-down shade, which some riders just won't like. I do like to ride with the visor up and sunshade down sometimes when it's hot, but I think this is a small price to pay for what is otherwise an excellent all-round helmet. This Namib comes, as I say, with a clear and iridium visor, and retails at £579.99. That's the same price as the Zero Pro, which comes with a clear visor and a photochromic version. Incidentally, the Raid and Gravix also come with a photochromic visor as the second visor and retail at £539.99, and the Pro, which is available in only black or white, at £499.99. So if a photochromic visor is the route that you're going to go down, that obviously offers better value, but for me it just doesn't look quite as nice. There is also an FIM certified version called the Racing No. 2, which is the most expensive at £649.99. There's also slightly heavier composite versions available, the Yuma in 6 colours at £429.99, and the plain also only available in black or white at £359.99, and neither of the composite helmets come with a second visor. If you're looking for a more off-road orientated adventure or dual sport helmet, then this is one that I would very highly recommend you take a look at. And if you're looking for a more general use adventure helmet, I would still recommend it, as long as you're happy having no drop-down sunshade. It does everything you expect, and it does it well whilst looking fantastic, if that's something that's important to you. I hope you found that useful. If you've got any questions about the helmet, then let me know in the comment section down below. And all that leaves me to say is, until next time, thanks for watching, take care, ride safe, and I'll see you soon. Bye.